Hi, it's Phil, and in this episode, I'll show you how you can rebuild confidence in partnerships as a senior executive if you partnered with a smaller company and that partnership failed. In the episode immediately before this one, we talked about P.A.G.E, a framework to show you how you can start entering partnerships again after you've been burned by a partnership that didn't work out as expected, or worse still, it failed. There's a link to that previous episode in the show notes, and I highly recommend you getting into that, especially if you're an entrepreneur or a small business owner wanting to partner with larger companies. Now, before we revisit P.A.G.E and dive into a worked example to help you rebuild confidence in partnerships, it's important for leaders of large companies to understand two important ideas when engaging in partnership with a smaller company or an innovator. The first idea is that cash and time are king. Cash is king for small companies because the cash they have on hand and the cash they're generating determines how long they can stay alive. That might sound a little dramatic, but the best companies watch their cash like a hawk because their company's life literally depends on it. The take-home message is that time is super important to small companies, and your business, while it might be running fast from your perspective, is likely to be running slow from your soon-to-be smaller partner's perspective. Make a point to set an expectation about how long a deal will take to close, and wherever there's a revenue share agreement to be had, consider giving a larger share of that revenue to the smaller partner for a defined period. It will help that smaller company become more resilient more quickly, and therefore become a stronger partner for you in the short, medium, and long term. The second idea is that your company might in fact be its own roadblock. Now, this might sound strange, particularly as you might be the leader or the manager wanting to see a partnership approved and come to life. Larger companies often have mature processes, especially when it comes to procurement. The procurement checklist for suppliers to comply with can be long, and this can take a small company not used to dealing with these requirements a long time to understand and achieve compliance. Make it a point to make any procurement or onboarding checklist available to your new and smaller partners well before the partnership agreement is signed. They can move quickly if they know what to do, and this will help your new partnership get off on the right foot and get on track to achieve its first win. Now, before we move on, if you're finding this content useful, I'd love for you to subscribe to Partnership Plus. When you subscribe, it disproportionately helps my work, and importantly, helps me to bring more great insights and guests for you to enjoy. So thank you. Okay, let's quickly review P.A.G.E. P.A.G.E is designed to help you look back on the partnership that burned you with some objectivity. And at the end of this process, you'll find that there are actions and decisions that both you and your partner made that led to the demise of the partnership in question. The good news is that in less 5 minutes, you'll be able to identify the pitfalls to avoid for next time. So here is P.A.G.E, and for each letter in P.A.G.E, P-A-G-E, there's one question for you to answer. P stands for partnership agreement. Did the partnership agreement that was signed clearly detail the expectations of both parties? A stands for advance and accelerate. Was the first win or milestone achieved in the first 90 days of the partnership? G stands for governance. How often were the partnership teams meeting with one another to discuss progress, celebrate wins, and work through roadblocks? And E stands for execute again. If you had your time over and had a chance to improve the factors that made the partnership stall or fail, would you partner with that company again? So let's imagine you're a senior manager or executive at a large company. Grab a piece of paper or a note on your phone and let's start the clock. Write down the name of the partnership that didn't go to plan. For this example, let's imagine you formed a product partnership with a smaller company. And in the beginning, this opportunity was super exciting because it could help you answer questions for your customers that would not only improve the customer experience, but it would help you reduce your cost to serve and reduce your acquisition costs within the first 12 months of this product being embedded across your company. And to add to that, this new partnership was going to make your company the undisputed market leader. Now, take a minute to answer the 4 P.A.G.E questions. P stands for partnership agreement. Was a partnership agreement signed that clearly detailed the expectations of both parties? Let's imagine there was a signed partnership agreement, and when you looked at the sections relating to roles, responsibilities, milestones, and how costs and revenue will be shared, there are specific details. That's good news. Let's move on to the next step. A stands for advance and accelerate. When it comes to the first win or milestone of the partnership, was it achieved in the first 90 days of the partnership? If the answer is yes, then that's great because it shows you were able to agree the milestones up front as part of the partnership agreement, and more importantly, develop relationships needed to deliver that first win. However, if the answer is no, it could be for a range of reasons, which include internal politics, prioritization issues from the partner side, to your partner wanting to move quicker than you expected and your team wasn't quite ready. In this case, let's assume that your smaller partner thought that they were ready to get started, but after the agreement was signed, they were provided with a procurement checklist that would take them 6 months to navigate and comply with. Your new partner weren't aware of these steps, and they weren't front of mind for your team at the time the partnership agreement was signed. First lesson learned. The next step is G, or governance. How often were the partnership teams meeting with one another to discuss progress, celebrate milestones, and address roadblocks? Let's imagine that it was suggested that the teams meet fortnightly, and that did happen for the first 6 weeks. But due to the need to comply with a long procurement checklist, the smaller partner suggested to reconvene meetings once all the compliance work was complete. This resulted in the partners meeting 5 times in 6 months, which really isn't regular enough at the beginning of a new partnership. Another lesson learned. And now to E. Would you execute again? In other words, if you had your time over and had a chance to improve the factors that made the partnership stall or fail, would you partner with that company again? If the answer is yes, that's great. If the answer is no, try expressing the reason for that. So let's P. Was a partnership agreement signed that clearly detailed the expectations of both parties? The answer is yes. A. When it comes to the first win or milestone of the partnership, was it achieved within the first 90 days of the partnership? Sadly, no, it wasn't. G. For governance. How often were the partnership teams meeting with one another to discuss progress and roadblocks? Too infrequently. And E. If you had your time over and had a chance to improve all the factors that made the partnership stall or fail, would you partner with that company again? Let's say the answer is yes. Stop the clock. In this example, you and your partner weren't on the same page, but there are a number of improvements you can make next time to prepare to enter into a partnership and to do so successfully. The first is that as soon as possible in the relationship, show your soon-to-be partners what requirements they need to satisfy after the partnership agreement is signed. The second improvement you can make is to allocate one of your team members to be their contact and their conduit into your organization, so clarification questions can be answered and your smaller partner can receive support to successfully negotiate compliance requirements. And improvement number 3 is to express what you would do differently next time. Now that you've seen that this can be done in a few minutes, ask your team members and your colleagues to do the same exercise. More perspectives will make for a richer reflection. Now, at this stage in the video, you could be thinking, okay, got it. I understand P.A.G.E. What do I do next? If you haven't seen part 1 of this series, where I covered the perspective of a small business owner or an entrepreneur who has been burned by entering into a partnership with a larger company, that episode is ready for you now, and you can check for the link in the show notes. And if you want to learn how to start or reset strategic partnerships, then make sure you sign up to the Wednesday Partnership Newsletter. It's my free weekly newsletter in which I share 3 ideas and 1 question for you to consider to create business partnerships that you never thought possible. Check out the link in the comment section below. Thanks for being here. I hope you found this useful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.